Hello, my name is Daniel Perez, and I'm one of the board members with Alhambra American Little League. And today we're going to continue talking about scorekeeping for our Little League baseball and softball certification. Specifically in this video, we're going to be talking about putting together all of the information we've gleaned in the previous videos and making sure it all makes sense when it comes together on a score sheet looking like this. So in the last videos, we've talked about setting up for the game, what to bring to the park with you, how to set up the lineup card section, the information up here at the top. We talked about the notation that we used. Here are some of the abbreviations down here again that we'll be going through. We talked about pitch count in the last video. This scorecard uses the running pitch count method that is discussed in the last video. And then in this video, we're also going to talk about some new things, including substitutions, inning transitions, and how to end the game, what to do once the game is over. So hopefully, as we go through this chronologically, you'll get an idea of what we as game officials and park officials are looking for, because you'll be able to see how I go through these to make sure I can figure out who scored, what was the pitch count, and making sure these are readable for all of our officials who need to be able to read these. So let's go through this game. So I see here that at the very beginning of the game, because the Braves are away, they're going to bat first, and the Yankees are pitching number 5. So this is important. Don't forget to write who's pitching in each inning. So Monica, who's the first batter, comes up, gets a count of 2 balls and 2 strikes, and then strikes out swinging. So we've denoted that she was the first out, and we have a number 5 up here to note that there are 5 pitches so far. Then Thomas comes up to bat. Thomas gets full count. I see 3 balls and 2 strikes, and then an extra 2 hash marks, so he must have had a foul ball as well. And then he hit a single. 1B down there for single. And then there are 12 pitches so far, so that I see the number 12 up there. Then Sam came up to bat, and he had 4 straight balls. He walked, and that walk allowed Thomas to go to second. I see B3 is how Thomas got to second, so batter number 3, who is Sam, is the reason that Thomas got to second base. And then Mateo came up to bat. You can ignore Luke for a second. Mateo came up to bat, and on the first pitch, I see that Mateo pop flied out to position number 9, which, if we recall our numeric abbreviations, is the right fielder. So that is the second out. We have that noted. We updated our pitch count to 17. And then I see also that on this pop fly, Sam was able to get to second and Thomas was able to get to third. So they must have tagged up and advanced. So now we're able to account for Sam being on second, Thomas being on third, Mateo being the second out. Continuing down to Lucas, I see Lucas had 1 ball, 2 strikes, and then 2 more foul balls, and then he got a double. So the pitch count's now at 23, and on that double, what happened to Sam and Thomas, who were on base? Well, it looks like they both scored. As we can see, they both got home on B5, and B5, who is Lucas, he was the reason that they got home. So we could accredit Lucas these 2 RBIs, and then don't forget once someone scores to fill in that diamond, so we can easily count how many runs have been scored so far. So now I can see at this point in the game, Eric is coming up to bat. We have a runner on second. We have 2 runs scored. We have 2 outs, and then Eric comes up and he has 1 ball, and then 3U, if we're not familiar with 3U, it's not written in any of the abbreviations. We do know that that was the 3rd out, though. And position 3 is the first baseman, so I know that this means that the first baseman got the out unassisted, U for unassisted. Or you could just write 3, or you could write 3 force out. You can just do it however you'd like. It's just helpful to know that U stands for unassisted. Final pitch count for the inning was 25, so we write 25 nice and big here at the bottom as part of our inning transition. And then I like to do this little mark here to show that in the next inning, when I come back after the Yankees have their at-bat, I'm going to continue in this box here. A common mistake is to continue in the box down here, but we have to make sure we go over to the second inning. So sometimes people even like to draw a line down here to make sure that they keep themselves from writing any more in that section. which is fine. So then the Yankees go and have their at-bat, do what they do, and now we're back in the second inning for the Braves. Up here at the top, I see that there's a number 5/12. So at the beginning of the inning, number 5 was still pitching for the Yankees. That's what that says to me. And our first batter of the second inning was Bill, number 8, down here. We're continuing in this box. And I see that Bill had one ball, and then he got hit by the pitch. HP tells me he got hit by the pitch and got to first base successfully. He was later grounded out into a double play, but this solid line here tells me that he got to first successfully on getting hit by the pitch. Updating the pitch count, we see up at the top of that box the number 27. So if anyone asks me, hey, what's the pitch count for the Yankees pitcher, I can easily say, oh, we're at 27 so far. Next batter, Lucy comes up. Lucy gets 2 balls, 1 strike, and then grounds into that double play. So we know DP is our abbreviation for double play, right over here. And the double play goes from, remember, whenever we mark offensive outs, we write down the position of the defensive players that handled the ball in the order that they handled it. So this went 5-4-3, which means the third baseman threw it to the second baseman, who threw it to the first baseman. So the first out was Bill up here, who got forced out at second, and then the second baseman threw it to the first baseman to get Lucy out. So Bill was the first out, Lucy was the second out. Updating the pitch count, moving on. Down here I see Nicole on her very first pitch actually bunted and got to first base. So there isn't an abbreviation for bunt. Some people write B, 1B. I just write bunt, or anything that works for you to let the reader know what happened. And that's a little extra detail for us. So I know that Nicole got to first on a bunt. Updating the pitch count, we're at 32. Now we're back at the top of the lineup. So we're going to come back up here. Monica's up to bat, and I see that on the very first pitch, Monica hit a home run. Over the fence, literally. So Monica got the home run, we filled in that box, and then down here, Nicole, who was on first, scored off Monica's home run. So we write B1 to show that Monica got to second, third, and home off batter 1, which is Monica. Monica is the number 1 batter. So we filled in that box, we filled in that box, and then updated the pitch count, which is at 33. Now, I see this solid line here. This solid line tells me that the Yankees changed pitchers after Monica's at-bat. So this solid line we put in horizontally between the batters to show when there's a pitching change. It could be anywhere, it can be between innings, but a horizontal line tells us where one pitcher stopped and another pitcher began. So I see from up here that when number 5 stopped, number 12 came in for the Yankees to pitch. So this line tells me that after the number 1 batter, number 12 came in to pitch, and I just came up here and circled number 33 because that was number 5's final pitch count. That's helpful for us. Now we have a new batter, new pitcher. Thomas came up to bat. Thomas had 2 balls, 1 strike, and then L1, causing the third out, which means line drive to the pitcher. So 4 pitches for our new pitcher, third out of the inning. Right here is 4 pitches, and then we're moving on to the next inning. Now we're going to talk about substitutions. So say after the second inning, the coach for the Braves comes up to you and says, all right, 44 for 12 and 31 for 15. Well, this is what this looks like. So don't forget that down here at the bottom, we wrote our substitutes at the beginning of the game. Now we're substituting in those substitutes. So 44 is going in for 12. Right up here is where we're going to write that down. That's why we have these extra lines here. 44 is going in for 12, and 31 is going in for 15. And to show when in the game that happens, we draw vertical dark lines. So these vertical dark lines tell me that between the second and third inning is when this substitution happened. So now that I know that this box here is for Luke's at-bat, and any boxes prior to are for Mateo's at-bat. So we've put in our subs, we've drawn these lines, now the game is continuing. We have some new notation here. I just want to let you guys know that this is more extra icing on the cake. As long as you're continuing to record balls, strikes, pitches, outs, and runs, then you're probably doing it right if you remember that mnemonic. But here's some more information for you guys. So on the first pitch, I see that Sam successfully got to first base on INT. INT stands for interference. It's one of our less common abbreviations, but sometimes the batter will swing and hit the catcher's glove because the catcher's a little bit too close to the batter. That'll be interference, and the batter will be awarded first base. So that's how Sam got to first base. Now I see there's a little star right up here, and this star is what I use whenever I want to make a note of something that I don't know how to abbreviate. So if I come down here, I see that the coach for the Braves put in a pinch runner at that point. So number 12, who was Mateo, who came out when Luke went in, is running for Luke and went right there at first base. So that's just another abbreviation, another way to note something when you don't know what the abbreviation is. So that's how I got to first. I went ahead and wrote the pitch count updated, and now who comes up to bat? Luke comes up to bat. So Luke is coming up to bat now. The count was two strikes, and then he struck out. So it was 3 strike strikeout. And I see that on one of those pitches, Sam was caught stealing. So before Luke struck out, Sam was caught stealing because he was the first out. So CS, if we look down here, is our caught stealing abbreviation, and the catcher threw it to the shortstop. Those are the abbreviations for those positions. So he was the first out, Luke was the second out. I see down here on the first pitch, Lucas got to first on E7. E stands for error, and 7 is position left field. So maybe there was a fly ball that the left fielder dropped, and Lucas was able to get to first base. SB, stolen base. I see that Lucas was able to get to the second and third by stealing those bases, but unfortunately he wasn't able to score because I see down here that when Sally came up to bat, she grounded out on the first pitch from the second baseman to the first baseman, and that was the third out. So keeping in mind our pitch count, that was the 10th pitch, the third out, and that's the end of the inning. The last thing I want to tell you guys about is at the end of the game, what I'd like you guys to do, what is required, is to write the final score in nice and big over here. So if this was the final score, this 4-0 Yankees, go ahead and write 4-0 Braves, excuse me, over here nice and big so anyone can quickly just open the book to a page and see what the score was of that game. And if you write it on both sides of the paper, that's even more helpful. And lastly, don't forget to get the signature from the umpire at the end of the game. So if I was the umpire, I might sign it up here where it says to put your signature, or sometimes the umpires like to sign it over here where the score is written. Either is fine, just as long as we get the umpire to sign it somewhere. And then up here we can write what time the game ends, and then we're good to go. We can return the scorebook to the snack bar. So again, there's a lot of information that can be gleaned from scorekeeping when it's done correctly, and it can be a lot of fun. Another way to keep track and appreciate the game. If you have any questions, feel free to let us know. Thank you for watching these videos. Yeah, thank you very much.